FM.
Business Buzz.
Business Buzz.
The Business Buzz, proudly sponsored by Teddy Clayton of Pan American Insurance, each and every Tuesday and Thursday on Radio Cayman. Call Teddy today at 917-4860.
And now, The Business Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. This is where we address the business topics that matter. Here's your host, Sabrina Turner.
Good morning, Cayman, and welcome to Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. I'm your host, Sabrina Turner, where we put the spotlight on Miss Sophie Pryor and her lifestyle brand, Lustic Life, as she shares with us her knowledge relating to branding, social media, influencer marketing, and how it can work for your business. Ms. Pryor, thanks for being our guest and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
A little bit about Ms. Pryor. She's a retired lawyer who turned lifestyle entrepreneur who specializes in brand marketing, content creation, social media, blogging, and influencer marketing through her lifestyle brand. Now, the show would not be possible without the kind sponsorship of Teddy Clayton from Pan American Insurance. Yes, give him a call today, 917-4860. Now, let's hear all about Lustic Life. Share with our listening audience a little bit about the main services that are offered at Lustic Life and really how it evolved.
Yeah, so Lustic Life is primarily a lifestyle brand. It's all about creating content to dream big and level up your life, be that personally or in business. I share inspiring content on things I enjoy, travel, design, wellness, things like career change, which I've gone through, whilst also working with companies to improve their brand marketing and social media and creative content.
Now, what a transition that must have been like. You made a big change in transitioning from a career as a lawyer to now being a brand consultant, social media coach, and content creator, telling stories for businesses through the branding. But how did you come to that big decision? What did it take to make you make such a move?
It's funny because there wasn't really a big plan. Maybe all the best things happen without a plan. I was working as a lawyer on island, long hours involved with being a lawyer. I was enjoying parts of it, right. But I wasn't feeling totally fulfilled. So I carried on with my lifestyle blog that I'd had for a couple of years, purely as a side hustle. It didn't bring me any money, but it just kept me happy and busy on the weekends. And eventually my body really made the decision for me.
Right.
I got a bit sick and it made me reflect on what I was doing and where my time and energy was going. And luckily through doing the blogging, I'd really sort of got some local traction. Other businesses were seeing what I was doing and wanting the same for their business. So it really just kind of came together. And before I knew it, there was a new path that was ready and waiting for me. I just had to make the big leap.
Oh, good for you. And actually having faith in yourself and being that risk taker, which is one of the key nuggets in being an entrepreneur. And people do not realize you have to be able to take the risk.
Yeah, I definitely would not describe myself as a risk taker at all.
But you did it.
Yeah, a type A risk taker maybe.
What advice would you give to someone then looking to change careers or get into your line of work?
This is a question I get asked a lot. And I actually wrote a blog post about this because there are quite a few steps you can do to get yourself in that position. First and foremost, I'd say find what really lights you up.
Okay.
Whether that's for money or, what keeps you going when money's taken out of the picture. Because finding your passion is a phrase people say a lot, but it can actually be quite tricky. So I'd say start a side hustle that you do, regardless of, what revenues you can see coming from it. And the key is to take money out of the equation and ask yourself, what would I do if money weren't an issue? And start doing that as much as you can. You don't have to give up your day job to do that. Right. But before you know it, there will be new options that have opened up off the back of that. And just say don't overthink it. Just follow your heart.
Which is a downfall of many women. You're way in the future and you haven't even started yet. You think of the worst case scenarios.
Oh, definitely.
Now, you must still be on cloud nine after winning the award for Rising Star of the Year. You know, at the recent Simpo Awards. Tell us more about that.
Yes, gosh, it was such an incredible experience. I'd been the year previous with Property Cayman, one of my clients, and they had won. So I sort of knew what could happen if I won. And of course, I wrote a speech being very prepared. But it genuinely was a real honor just to be nominated alone in such a great category and with such amazing brands, particularly in my first year. It was a real valuable recognition for me. Working from home on my own with the cat, it just kind of validated what I'd done. And really winning was the icing on the cake. I'm really, really grateful for that.
Now, it's one thing when you win, but another thing when your clients also win. Congratulations to your clients, and that's Property Cayman on winning Campaign of the Year. So how does this feel, and how Cayman marketing community embraced you?
Yeah, I've been super grateful to have clients from day one. They took the chance on somebody that was new to marketing. And I'm really grateful and beyond thrilled to see their gamble paid off. It's been incredible to work with such fantastic companies who are really at the top of their game in a variety of different fields. I've already learned so much, but there's obviously a long way to go.
Right.
And I'm super grateful to the marketing community. I've called myself a recovering lawyer, but they've welcomed me into their world, and everyone's been very friendly. And I think Cayman has a real diverse group of talented creatives that all come together for lots of different products.
It must be something when you actually turn on a local TV and you see infomercials that you have been a part of. How do you actually immerse yourself into, because many times we don't give ourselves the credit that we deserve.
Oh, that's something I'm still working on, definitely. But no, it's been nice to see, particularly for Rum Point Club, one of my clients, that we've created a brand out of nothing. And there's some really talented individuals involved that have a long history in Cayman development. But to put something together from the ground up has been really, really rewarding.
Well, again, congratulations to you, and congratulations to your client, who we actually featured on the show. And it's very fulfilling when you can actually follow someone and you see them taking home, the big prize. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're in tune to Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. It is proudly sponsored by Pan American Insurance. That's Mr. Teddy Clayton. Give Teddy a call today for your insurance needs, 917-4860, as we keep the spotlight on Lustig Life, lifestyle brand by Sophie Pryor. Our topics this morning: following your passion, branding, blogging, content marketing, influencer marketing, social media coaching. How vital is photography to the marketing story? This and more when we come back after our first break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Although far less populated than Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac, Little Cayman was most definitely populated and a utilized island in the past, with numerous archaeological evidence discovered to support this. Off the north coast, 2 well-known historical wells have been located, along with an assortment of various size anchors around the coral of Bloody Bay, abandoned provision grounds, remains of an old stone fort, remnants of coconut harvesting, phosphate collection, and old trails. It is believed that the area would have been utilized for more than just the occasional passing ship, due to the organized piles of limestone rock which is believed to have been cleared to clear the soil for cultivation.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from The Maritime Heritage of the Cayman Islands by Roger C. Smith.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Why rush around paying bills when you can pay most of your bills online? Cayman National offers an extensive list of service providers. Visit CaymanNational.com and log on to our personal or business online banking systems. Not an online banking customer? Contact their customer support team on 949-8300 for more information.
Think life insurance is only about leaving money for your family? Well, think again. Ask Teddy about products that will provide income in case of accidents or illness, here and now. Call Teddy on 917-4860. That's 917-4860.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz, the business topics that matter, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz, keeping the spotlight on Lustig Life, lifestyle brand by Sophie Pryor. A modern lifestyle brand designed to inspire, create, and connect on all things lifestyle, entrepreneurship, and mindset. I'm pleased to be joined by brand consultant and content creator, Miss Sophie Pryor. We're going to talk a little bit now about content marketing. I've been hearing a lot of this, and it's one thing of having a website. There's one thing of having your page, a blog. You're hearing these webinars and all that, but getting the information out there. There are lots of moving parts to make your web page design, layout, user-friendly, all interactive yet inviting. Mm-hmm. And you don't want it to be so cluttered. So break it down for our listening audience. What is content marketing? And that's a twofold. What makes good content?
Well, content marketing actually isn't anything new, which surprised me when I first learned that. But it's essentially just creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content with the intention to attract and retain a clearly defined audience and ultimately bring profits to the business. So there's lots of different ways to do that. And I guess the ways to do it are newer and developing every day. For me, I'd say good content marketing is inspiring, original, it always adds value, and quite crucially, it doesn't sell. You know, the point is to really inspire and spark an interest in your readership or consumer, so you leave an impact and build trust.
What are some steps that must be taken in creating a successful content marketing plan?
Yeah, like with everything in life, it takes a lot of research and planning, primarily to find out who your brand avatar is, who your ideal customer is, who you'd like to do business in the future is a crucial point to find out, you know, what their hobbies are, what their interests are, what their spending pattern is, you know, do they have a large family, do they like to vacation or travel? And the more you can map out, the more, and the more you know about them, you know who you're speaking to. I'd also say you should find out what people want to know, rather than what you think they want to know. That's kind of an important but obvious but important distinction. There's lots of tools to do this. There's a website called Quora where they have regular polls, or you can do your own poll on Facebook or Instagram, or Survey Monkeys, all sorts, to find out what people really want to know in your industry, rather than presuming what you think they want to know. And on that point, just always adding value. I always think when I'm helping clients to stop and ask, what value is this adding to the reader? It's crucial to avoid selling and always add value.
So how does a good storytelling help content marketing? Yeah,
storytelling is coined really to be the future of content marketing. And I was thinking why that's happened. I guess it takes us back to childhood. Like, everybody loves a good fairy tale when you're little. And really captivating stories are entertaining for everybody. And it also brings about quite an emotional connection between the brand and the consumer. And really, stories gain trust. You share personal stories with those you love. It's the same idea from a business to a consumer, that you're not shying away, hiding certain aspects of your business. You're storytelling, bringing them in, showing the journey, and people are just more perceptive towards stories in contrast to dry statistics or facts.
It's funny how you say that you get the message across, and you're seeing more content marketing taking the form in storytelling. When you look at historical and sharing history with the young children, only one place come to mind: Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
When you go there as a visitor, you find that all their ancestors, the older Hawaiians, they tell their stories about Pele and their goddess of fire and wind. And they do that in the form of, like, when you were going to church and you learnt the Bible stories. And what they're doing is instilling in their children historical the history of where they're coming from. So it's amazing that content marketing has taken that. The only place really that comes to mind is Hawaii.
Wow, I went straight to Cayman. I don't know why. And I've been to Hawaii. But
yeah,
it happens in every culture. But it's just, I guess, relating that to then your business scenario, which isn't always an obvious connection.
But the gripping part is story. You got to have a story to make it follow through. What role does social media play then in marketing today?
Well, as you know, everyone knows social media is, you know, the new thing since sliced bread. It's really critical for marketing in today's world. I read some recent statistics that there's supposedly 2.7 billion social media users around the globe. So that's more or less 71% of all internet users being on social media. I mean, I'm sure it's even more than that. But really, social media can be such an accessible and cheaper and more effective way to create really targeted ads to a demographic that you've highlighted being interested in your business. And you can also gain valuable data and then keep adapting your marketing to that, which in other forms of marketing, it's hard to get a response on how many readers are looking at your print ad or, you know, various other forms. But that's not to say that social media is the only type of marketing you need. But if you do have a limited budget, it can be a great way to get started.
How critical is it for businesses to place their content in the right area where they can reach their right audience and at the right time?
This is really the name of the game. I think it's critical, really. It's also quite a challenge to find that sweet spot. So don't be disheartened, is what I'd say, that there is a lot of trial and error or, you know, A/B testing that you can do to put two ads up at different times in different locations to see what really works for your readership. Because, there's no point putting up amazing content when and where nobody's looking.
True. How can content marketing help with the lead generation?
This is what everybody wants.
And that can change with the season almost.
Content marketing builds trust with an audience and people buy from businesses they trust. So that's really the name of the game. But from a more technical standpoint, content marketing also builds things like your SEO, you know, your search engine optimization, which in turn boosts traffic to your website or wherever you'd like to direct people, which should generate leads.
Of course.
It's not a perfect equation, but
you get an idea. So what are some examples of content marketing that you've seen lately that have resonated with you? Anything that just sticks out there?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. It's quite hard sometimes to pin down what is and what isn't content marketing, but I've always been impressed with the Coca-Cola advert, share a Coke with somebody, and you can get your personalized name on their bottle of Coke, and everybody loved that. You know, the personal connection is like a gift.
Correct.
It felt very unique. I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. He's an online sort of media guru, and he does the Ask Gary V show where you can ring in, and it's also marketing advice, so it's twofold. But it's real life value. It's honest. It's raw, and that kind of connects you to his brand, knowing that it's authentic.
And you think fonts as well and bold colors?
Yeah, I mean, it's in line with his brand. It's snappy and punchy, and I think that's what people really want to see, that the marketing matches what they're selling and the personality, and it all comes together. And I think somebody locally who does that really well is the Marriott Beach Resort. Everything they do is just outstanding, but they've sort of made you feel a part of their family, which is really, really important.
So what advice would you give to small businesses about including content marketing in their budget?
I'd say don't be intimidated by it. There are many ways you can bring content marketing into your budget, but you don't have to do all of them all at once. Correct. I think that's something people sometimes get misled by, or thinking that it's going to cost a ton of money. I'd say start small and see what works. Think about where you can add value to your community. Is there an area where you're a real expert, or do you have an interest or interesting experience that would help others? And then think about what method and platform would suit your business and team best, and something that they can do regularly and keep consistent. So if you're good at writing, consider blogging on your website or platforms like Medium or Facebook. If you're good at video, you could do a weekly vlog or do Facebook and Instagram Live. And all these methods are more or less free. You know, it's just your time. So for a small business, I think that's a great way to start.
Excellent. And it's very cost effective as well. You're helping yourself a long way. Nothing wrong with and we were talking just before we got live with the type of cameras that are on our smartphones now, and everybody pretty much has a smart device that's pocket size.
Oh, exactly.
So it's amazing what type of videos and vlogs you can make.
100%. And I'd say that that's a misconception, and I fall in that trap many times, thinking you need all this amazing gear to be a professional, or you have to invest tons of money just to get started. No offense to
the professionals, for the record.
No, of course not. And maybe that's more of their skill set that they're showcasing, just photography or videography. Correct. But if your main profession is something else, there's no need to try and also then be a professional videographer or photographer. And of course you can outsource it, and that is recommended when you have the budget. But in a way, you should just get started with what you have.
You got to start somewhere.
100%.
You're in tune to Radio Cayman's Business Buzz as we put the spotlight this morning on Sophie Pryor and her lifestyle brand, Lustic Life. She shares with us her knowledge relating to branding, social media, influencer marketing, and knowledge and how we can work for your business. We will take our final break for the morning, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about blogging for your business.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. United in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love them in
country classics.
Young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics. Welcome back to the Business Buzz, the business topics that matter, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. Cayman's Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz as we continue our conversation with Ms. Sophie Pryor, brand consultant and content creator, and she is from Lustic Life, a lifestyle brand by Sophie Pryor. Let's talk a little bit about blogging for your business. What is that?
Yeah, so initially blogging took off as more of a personal thing. You know, it was almost the diary or journal of personal blogs. I think it was originally called a weblog, and then they merged that to blog. But like with anything on the internet, entrepreneurs saw a chance to use it for marketing, and lo and behold, we now use it as a marketing tool. It can be a home or a business in itself, which is kind of what I've developed, but it can be a nice add-on to a service or company website that you have. And really, it can form the core of your marketing plan. Correct. Because you can create perhaps a blog a month and then have offshoots of different, Instagram, Facebook, media posts that link back to your blog, using snippets from the blog, using a newsletter to kind of generate more traffic to your website and your blog. And just really as a form to kind of air a specific piece that you're either knowledgeable on or experts in a field that you can really add value to a community through.
So are there any do's and don'ts when it comes to blogging?
Oh, yes. Lots of them.
Interesting.
How long have we got? Yeah. Do's, I'd say do your research. Do discover what's popular in your area of business. And like I said, what people want to hear about. Have that as sort of key topics to discuss. When you're actually writing a blog, it's helpful to link to past blogs or even better, other sites. And better yet, if they link back to your blog, that's like the, golden star because of SEO. But in terms of writing, I'd just say be authentic, be genuine, honest, maybe be as unique as you can so that you're really, creating an interest, adding value. Also disclose if the blog is a paid blog or, in collaboration with someone. That's what we see a lot of in influencer marketing. And I guess the lawyer in me gets a bit frustrated when people don't disclose that it's, slightly sponsored content, but that doesn't mean that the content itself isn't genuine or the author's opinion, but there's just a connection there to the brand which should be disclosed. And then in terms of don'ts, I'd say don't just blog for the sake of it. There can be a feeling to just throw stuff up there because you have a blog and you need to. It's definitely less but better is the approach, quality over...
Quality, not quantity.
Exactly. And in that same vein, don't try to cover too much in one blog post. You can split them up and they can be relatively short or as needed, break it up with imagery as well, just so that it's not too overwhelming. Don't use other people's information or photos without credit as much as you can. Sometimes it is hard to find the sources, but I do think as a rule you should try and, give credit where credit's due. And yeah, I'd say don't give up. Blogging does take time. I've been doing Elastic Life for 3 years, just for family and friends, really. And it is just a sort of a love affair, really. You can't do it for reasons of profitability or revenue. It has to just be authentic to you and your brand.
So what are your thoughts on content marketers having to strike a balance between creating great content while bearing in mind the decreasing attention span of consumers?
Yeah, that is something to be aware of. And like I said, I would be conscious to do quality over quantity. But that being said, I've heard that sort of comment before, saying people have a short attention span and, we're bombarded with marketing and information nowadays. But I think that sort of underestimates people's interest and time. And if it is something people are interested in and it's quality content, you'll be surprised how long people will spend reading or engaging with something. It just has to be that sweet spot between, time and platform and what people want to hear. And in that context, I think you've got somebody's attention.
Like last night I was watching something on TV and it was saying when you're binging, and you're, a lot of people with TiVo and recording your favorite
Netflix,
show, that you fast forward the intro, the credits.
Right.
So you wonder if that's attention span or you just want to get to the core of what you're looking for, which can come across a bit blunt when it's come to content marketing. You don't want to come across too firm, in your face, at you.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you have to almost tease people to then get their attention when you
but
want
not
to.
Too long.
No. And to be honest, I think it's just about trial and error, working out what times people have the highest attention span and what they want to read when. Maybe it's more on the weekends that they'll have time to digest your newsletter and your blog rather than in the office. But yeah, it's something that you can't really plan for. You just have to adapt. And I think when you've got the right pool of people that want to see and hear more of your brand, you'll get there. I don't think you should stress too much about that.
Great. So how vital is photography to marketing a story?
Yeah, I mean, photography is and isn't vital. Everybody loves imagery, and imagery is very important in part of the selling and marketing of a brand or business. But as we've mentioned, I don't think you have to get too wrapped up in worrying about getting the perfect shot. And I'm saying that, telling myself at the same time. Your phones, little blogging, smaller point-and-shoot cameras, you'd be surprised at the quality and great imagery you can create with that if you're on a budget. But that being said, if you have the budget to get custom photography, it's super impactful and, a great way to tell your brand story and get an original, powerful message across. But it is vital. It is important, but with a caveat, it's not totally needed all the time. You can get great stock imagery from websites, but just don't overdo it.
Finally, Ms. Pryor, what key things do brand marketers like yourselves always keep in mind when creating content for clients?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I guess a few points that come to mind are keeping it relevant, keeping it interesting, always add value is a big one for me. Be helpful and make sure it's in line with the brand you're trying to represent. Not everybody suits every brand. Not every brand suits every customer. Just really having the confidence to go after your area and really commit to them and create content that your consumers want to read rather than what your competitors are doing.
How can persons get in touch with you to get further information about Lustig Life?
Well, I've got a shiny newly revamped website, which I made sure I got ready for today. It's www.lustig, which is LUSTIC life.com. Or you can email me. I'd always love to hear from people at Sophie, SOPHIE, at lustiglife.com, or on Facebook and Instagram at Lustig Life.
Ms. Pryor, thank you for being our guest, and we're looking forward to having you again to share more in the future. All the best to you and your exciting future.
Thank you so much.
Stay tuned for more of the Business Buzz when we come back after the 8 o'clock news, sports and weather update. At that time, we'll put the spotlight on Auger, Cayman Islands.
Thank you, Sabrina. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore. Access to information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Members of the Cayman Islands Cabinet and elected members of the Legislative Assembly and staff head to Cayman Brac in early September for the 5th meeting of the Legislative Assembly. Cabinet will meet in the District Administration Building on Tuesday, September 4th, and the Legislative Assembly will meet at the Aston Ruddy Center on the Bluff starting at 10 a.m. on September 5th. Radio Cayman and CIG-TV will broadcast the audio of the LA meeting live. Police and civilians worked together on 2 marine rescues Sunday. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has the details.
Around 5:20 p.m. on Sunday, the RCIPS Air Operations Unit was called out to a report of a wave runner in distress off Northwest Point. The helicopter crew found the wave runner drifting west 2 miles off the coast, and 2 civilian wave runners were directed to the precise location of the drifting wave runner. By 5:40 p.m., the broken-down wave runner was under tow and the rider taken safely back to shore. Right after, at 5:41 p.m., the 911 Communications Center received a call that there were 6 divers in trouble in the waters off Northwest Point. The police helicopter was on the scene within a minute and found the divers 200 yards offshore. Police say it looks like they'd been caught in the current and seemed exhausted. 3 of them were able to make it back to shore on their own. A nearby fishing vessel pitched in to help rescue the other 3. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
And the Cayman Islands, for the first time, will play host to the 9th staging of the Caribbean Tourism Organization's Human Resources Conference. Details from Radio Cayman's Shonda Gallego.
The focus for the conference is on building a resilient, high-performing, and sustainable Caribbean tourism workforce for global competitiveness. In partnership with the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism, CTO will challenge human resource professionals from across the region and in Cayman to come up with strategies and plans to build a high-performance and motivated workforce. According to officials, the conference taking place November 28th through to the 30th will offer up a number of plenaries, a students' forum, master classes, a tour, and will feature experts in human resources, tourism, and labor, including Claudia Congertz, director of the International Labour Organization's Decent Work Team and Office for the Caribbean, who will deliver the keynote address on the future of work, what will become the new normal. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
And now with a check of international news, here's the BBC who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with David Austin. The election authorities in Zimbabwe say they're confident that there's been no vote rigging or serious cheating in Monday's presidential and parliamentary elections. The head of the Election Commission said most provinces had reported that their counts were nearly complete and the winners should be declared before the August the 4th deadline. Malaysia's civil aviation chief has resigned following the release of an official report on the missing Malaysian Airlines MH370 passenger plane, which disappeared with 239 people on board. The report highlighted failures by air traffic control to comply with standard operating procedures. U.S. intelligence officials say North Korea appears to be building new ballistic missiles, despite President Trump saying Pyongyang no longer posed a threat. U.S. spy satellites have reportedly spotted activity at a North Korean factory that's produced intercontinental ballistic missiles in the past. An Arab-Israeli poet has been sentenced to 5 months in jail by an Israeli court for inciting violence and supporting a terrorist organization in social media posts. During her lengthy trial, Darin Tatur said her work was misunderstood. German farmers who are facing crop damage because of a prolonged heatwave have asked the government for help. The German Farming Association say they need more than $1 billion in aid. Reports from the Comoros, where a controversial referendum has been taking place, say that the opposition leader, Ahmed al-Barwani, has been arrested. The Interior Minister, Mohamed Daoud, earlier accused members of the opposition party of violence during Monday's poll. And a miniature shark stolen from a Texas aquarium disguised as a baby has been found in the thief's private marine collection. That's the latest BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
The time is now. The speed is here. March to the beat of the mobile revolution with Flow 4G LTE and a prepaid mobile combo plan. Activate a Flow prepaid mobile combo plan to get calling minutes and data in one convenient package. And every plan comes with double data. Enjoy the proven best overall experience in Cayman with a Flow prepaid mobile combo plan. Now with double data, coverage, value, speed. Flow 4G LTE. Always connected, always faster. Visit discoverflow.ky. Terms and conditions apply.
In financial news, world markets are mixed today ahead of key economic releases from the 19-country Eurozone, which has come to an agreement with the U.S. on holding off on new tariffs. Keeping score, Britain's FTSE 100 rose 0.1% in early trading to 7,709, while Germany's DAX fell 0.2% to 12,767. France's CAC 40 shed 0.2% to 5,482. Wall Street was set for a subdued open, with Dow futures slipping less than 0.1% to 25,279. S&P 500 futures rose 0.1% to 2,805. Looking at Asia's day, markets were mostly higher after the Bank of Japan largely maintained the status quo while allowing some flexibility to achieve yield targets. Japan's Nikkei 225 index rose less than 0.1% to 22,553, and South Korea's Kospi added 0.1% to 2,295. The Shanghai Composite Index gained 0.3% to 2,876. In energy, benchmark U.S. crude dropped 40 cents to $69.73 per barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange. It rose 2.1% to settle at $70.13 per barrel on Monday. Brent crude used to price international oils fell 35 cents to $75.20. In currencies, the dollar rose to 111.44 yen from 111 even. The euro ticked up to 1.1721 from 1.1710.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after,
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after,
visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
That's a good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 88%. Barometric pressure 30.02 inches and rising. The wind is east at 8 knots. Overnight low temperature was 77 degrees. Synopsis indicate isolated showers will continue to linger across the northwest Caribbean for the next 24 hours as an upper-level low-pressure system currently over eastern Cuba moves west over the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show scattered showers in and around the Cayman area moving west. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 40% chance of morning showers and thunder. Now temperatures will rise to the low 90s today. Your winds will be east to southeast 10 to 15 knots and seas will be slight with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. For tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder and temperatures falling to the upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. High tide will occur this morning at 11:30 and a low tide again this evening at 5:15 and a high tide at 11:47 tonight. The sun will set this evening at 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 3 minutes after 6. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Thursday morning. Also, a tropical wave is expected to move into the Cayman area by Thursday morning, which may support additional showers.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Good morning once again. Time now to take a look at what's happening on the road. Steady but flowing traffic on some sections of Cool Road, other sections steady. Coming off Bobby Thompson Way, traffic not looking too bad as it's flowing moderately. Huldah Avenues, moderate flow of traffic as well. And light to moderate traffic flow coming from the Westway 4-way stop. On April Street in front of the Georgetown Post Office, traffic looking steady but flowing. And on Shedden Road into Georgetown, moderate flow of traffic, light to moderate traffic flow out of Georgetown and Shedden Road. Steady but flowing traffic in both directions on the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, and on Godfrey Nixon Way and on Eastern Avenue, traffic flowing moderately. On the Linford Pearson Highway, moderate flow of traffic as well as on Shamrock Road. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 as we update you on your roads. Have a good morning and drive safe, Cayman Islands.
Important notice for all contractors, including general, civil, residential, building, and trade contractors. The Department of Planning would like to inform you that in order to pull permits and request inspections, your company must be registered with the Builders Board by July 31st, 2018. Failure to register with the Builders Board will prevent you from seeking permits and inspections. Fees and applications can be found online at www.planning.ky. All applications and fees for all contractors must be submitted by July 31st, 2018.
Cayman's women's beach volleyball team's first match was a slightly more pleasant experience than the men's. Radio Cayman's Andrew Harris is in Colombia with more.
Playing under a starlit sky, Eliane Powery and Marissa Harrison went up against the Dominican Republic. Parry and Harrison lost their first set 16-21, but managed to turn the tables on their opponents and won the second set 21-16. Cayman's women would go on to lose the third set by 2 points, ending the game 13-15. Parry and Harrison then faced the host Colombia on Sunday. The women fell 11-21 and 13-21 and therefore did not advance out of Pool A.
Okay, so the first set, I just think we didn't really come in hard enough, I think, and we were really just like trying to figure out the other team. But by the second set, we got a lot of momentum going forward. We started fighting really hard. We ended up winning that set. But then, sadly, by the third set, it's just a short game that we didn't end up closing it.
I would definitely say this game was very pleasing to me simply because the energy was high. There was a lot of communication. We just kept it positive throughout the whole game, and that was one of my goals for this tournament. And I'm so happy that for the first game we were able to be successful in that way. But as we move forward, we just got to continue pushing and remain positive and just push for the win.
Marissa Harrison and Ilian Parry. Reporting from Barranquilla, Colombia, I'm Andrell Harris for Radio Cayman Sports.
The women's team played Monday night and beat St. Lucia 2-0. The men lost against Barbados in their matchup 2-0. Tonight, the action continues as the women face off against Suriname. The men's team will play Honduras.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advance notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz, the business topics that matter, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. Cayman's Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Sabrina Turner, and in this segment, we put the spotlight on Auger, Cayman Islands. I'm pleased to be joined by Miss Ridhima Kapoor, Associate at Auger's Investment Funds and Corporate Team, and she's joined by Miss Patrice Stewart, Senior HR Advisor on the HR team at Auger. We hope to get a better understanding of the main services the company provides and hear all about the various opportunities for young Caymanians who may wish to get into the legal field. Welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So before we get started, can you introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about yourself? Let's start with Ms. Ridhima.
Well, thanks so much for having us. Good morning. As you mentioned, my name is Ridhima Kapoor. I was born and raised here in Grand Cayman, attended school here locally, and then went to attend the United World College of the Adriatic in Italy, where I got my International Baccalaureate diploma. Subsequently, I read law at the University of Nottingham in the UK and did my postgraduate LPC course at the College of Law, London. Afterwards, I previously had done an internship with Auger and came back and did my articles, and I've been with them ever since. It's been 6 years now.
Good for you, and congratulations. Ms. Patrice Stewart,
Yes.
Please let us know a little bit more about yourself and your position with Auger.
Okay, as you mentioned earlier, I am the Senior HR Advisor at Auger. I attended Howard University in Washington, D.C., where I pursued my bachelor's degree in marketing. I came back for about a year and a half, and I worked at another international law firm. But then I kind of realized that I think my real passion was HR, so I went back to Georgetown University, also in Washington, D.C., to pursue my master's in HR. Then I came back here, worked for about a year in another law firm, and now I'm here. So just under 10 months at OGA.
Oh, great. Just joining us, we would like to welcome Mr. Klein Glidden, member of the local practice and funds team at OGA. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
For those who are used to hearing you in another world, it's a pleasure to have you in here on this tone.
Yeah, usually my recollection of being in here is from a different perspective altogether.
Yes.
But I'm happy this morning to be here representing OGA.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. So tell us your role over there, and for those who want to know that side of your life. What do you do? What do you bring to their table?
So ever since the end of my former position as a member of the Legislative Assembly in 2013, I've been at OGA, first as an article clerk, and now as a member of the local legal services team. So that was after completing my law degree at University of Liverpool here at the Cayman Islands Law School, and then doing my articles with OGA, and now having worked with their local practice team, where we provide a range of services which we feel make us a bit more unique. You know, some of the other offshore financial law firms don't have as significant a local practice as we do. My experience and relationships, I guess, bring a bit of a unique perspective, having been a legislator, and now actually getting to use some of those laws and seeing the mistakes that I made as a legislator. In
At least you're willing to own up to it.
Yeah, and the private practice side, I guess, pretty obvious sometimes. And you look back and see what was done. And obviously, you know, the intention at the time. And obviously, the intention was to make Cayman a more attractive destination for financial services. But in many cases, when the reality hits, it isn't necessarily working the same way that it was envisioned at the Legislative Assembly. The good news is Cayman is still a small enough place. We are able to, based on those relationships, to actually get those amendments. We can actually have, through, like I say, existing relationships, we can go to, we have a very receptive government in terms of being able to sit with them and explain what has worked and what hasn't worked for whatever reasons, and actually, in some instances, get those changes made to make it more efficient.
Only if you had a crystal ball back in the days, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
But just moving forward and keeping it relevant, share with our listening audience, and you can weigh in on your own perspective, a little bit of history on this organization. Who want to take it?
Okay. OGA itself as a firm is about 150 years old, just over. But in Cayman, we've been here for a little over 25 years. We have locations in 9 jurisdictions. Our headquarters are actually in Jersey on the Channel Islands. And we practice various aspects of law, funds, finance, litigation, dispute resolution. Yeah.
Now, this OGA has been actively advising clients on doing business in the Cayman Islands for more than, you said, 25 years. Now, they're one of the largest locally based teams of specialists in the Cayman Islands. They have considerable experience in negotiations and all of that sort of stuff. But break down the main services that fall under the local legal services, Mr. Glidden.
So when we look at local legal services, they're arranged. So we have company formation and incorporation, which is used from an offshore financial standpoint, both for local interests, as well as offshore financial services, right? So requirements in terms of, I think it's well known that Cayman is the domicile of choice for funds, and the structures that are used to incorporate those funds. When we talk about offshore business, basically we have the vehicles established on the Cayman Islands law, but not necessarily doing business per se in the Cayman Islands. So we have a range of services where we facilitate business, and whether that's, like I said, financial services, in the scope of having, for a while Cayman was thought of as being the banking center for the world.
Correct.
And there was a lot of discussion about the number of banks in the Cayman Islands. I think through mergers and acquisitions and otherwise, we've seen a reduction per se in banks and banking licenses. But what we've seen is a continued, we've seen a significant growth in funds, right? And Cayman structures are used for a significant percentage of those funds around the world. So we talk about offshore finance, and that's what financial services is seen as in general. In Auger, while doing all of those services and providing those, and that's what I guess international we're best known for. On a local practice standpoint, we also provide vehicles that are used for doing business locally, right? And so in many cases the structures are the same, whether it's a company, whether it's a partnership, but then we look at them having to fulfill the local requirements. Okay. So when we have when we have a company that's doing business overseas, we have a provision called an exempted company. And the idea is that that's specifically designed for business outside of the Cayman Islands. But when we're looking at businesses doing business in the Cayman Islands per se, we have the immigration requirements that are required in terms of providing protection for Cayman businesses. Right. And those are going to be through a range of services or service providers, specifically immigration, Department of Commerce and Investment. People will be familiar with the 60-40 requirement, for example, for Caymanian businesses. And so that's going to require you to get trade and business license, work some sort of structure where you have an arrangement with a partnership, and then get licensed in the respective area that you're going to be doing business. So recently there's been a lot of involvement, for example, with Auger representing a client for liquor license. And so that's one of the licensing requirements that we would have. Their property, conveyancing issues, like I said, mergers, acquisitions, general partnership agreements between partners of businesses that are there. We do quite a bit of work in the medical industry as well, where there's going to be a licensing requirement and maintaining those licenses for our international partners that we may be representing as well. So a range of services, and at Auger we like to let the world know that we're a one-stop shop. We provide a full range of services both for international clients, and in many cases what we're seeing is international clients who are coming to Cayman because of their international business, but then determining that Cayman is not only a good place to do business, but to live and raise a family
as well,
right? And then they come and ask for assistance, either in the transfer of that business into Cayman, or the establishment or acquisition of businesses in Cayman as well, right? Okay. And so we're able to provide those services.
Excellent. So what would you say to those persons out there who probably just looked at the big name Auger and say, that's not for me? They kind of get intimidated and think you're only offering services to international clients, but you're open for business for locals as well. What message would you send to those that you're not just a one-stop for international clients?
So hopefully we're getting that message out, right? There is a bit of a challenge in terms of, I think it's important that when we look at financial services that we recognize the mix. In terms of when you look at some of the other law firms where we see mainly foreign lawyers, Cayman has a diverse mix in terms of expertise and where that expertise comes from. One of my roles in having transitioned from the public sector to private sector has been to try to put a local face in terms of relationships and being able to be accessible, like you said, to those individuals who may have previously felt that Auger was simply an offshore financial services firm. Okay. I'm pretty well known because of where I was before and the fact that I now work in the local legal services team. My partner is James Bergstrom, who's a Caymanian as well, but it's still been seen in large part as being a driving force between offshore financial service. And so together, along with the rest of our team, we have been working diligently to show that we're a service provider for services in the Cayman Islands in general, whether that's like I said, international services, or whether that's the Caymanian business person who is in need of our services.
Thank you. Now, there are many opportunities for young Caymanians through OIGER. Let's begin with some information relating to the article clerk training program. And I'm going to throw this question at Rhythma. Who is eligible for the program, and how long does the article clerk program run for?
So the article clerk program runs for a period of 18 months. That period of 18 months is divided between different departments within the firm and gives the article clerk an opportunity to learn from the different areas and departments. As far as qualifying for it, I mean, first and foremost, they will need to be Caymanian. And they'll have to qualify with the relevant legal education backgrounds and scores required, which Patrice can probably provide more details on when we get to that stage. And then as far as the 18-month program, I mean, it's very in-depth. The article clerk is really getting a lot of experience from every team that they're working with. They're paired with a mentor during the entire program. And then also with every department, they're sat with someone senior who takes a very interest in their development and their learning at the same time. So in fact, there's an article clerk in our team right now that myself and one of my co-supervisors, Ms. Jody Parry-Gilbert, both of us are training in our team, and she's learning in the area of investment funds, corporate, and then also working with our finance team.
So they do get hands-on training in the various departments.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I believe OIGER Scholarship is awarded annually as well. How does that work, and where can they get applications, and usually, what is required?
Sure. Our scholarships are awarded annually, as you mentioned. The scholarship application period is from January till April each year, but we usually recommend that people who are interested in applying for scholarships, they get their applications in very early, just because we do get a lot of applications. And especially this year, we've received lots of top quality candidates, and we've actually had to close our application period early because there were just so many good candidates to choose from.
So it's already closed for this year?
Yes, it's already closed for this year. So if students are interested in applying for scholarships for next year, January to April is when we have our application period open.
You're in tune to Radio Cayman, that is proudly sponsored by Teddy Clayton of Pan American Insurance. Give Teddy a call, 917-4860. Keeping the spotlight on OIGER Cayman Islands. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll hear much more.
Hi, my name is Diane Manderson. My agent Teddy Clayton from Pan American Insurance was there for me from day one of my accident on October 2017. And up until now, I have been compensated for my pain and suffering. I would recommend Pan American Insurance. Contact agent Teddy Clayton on 917-4860.
Under the distinguished patronage of the Jamaican Consulate, Crystal Promotion presents Jamaica's 56th Independence Celebration in the form of Fruits and Culture. Saturday, August 4th at Lion Center. Performing live, former member of the I-3s, Marcia Griffiths.
I shall sing.
Glenn Washington.
Let's rise and shine and give Jah the glory.
Professor Nuts. Anthony Malvo. Andrew Priest and MC Linkage from Linkage Radio, New York City. Gate open 6 p.m., showtime 7 p.m. Admission 25 pre-sale, 30 at the gate. It's Roots and Culture, Saturday, August 4th at Lion Center. Celebrating Jamaica's 56th year of independence. Sponsored by J. and Money, Radio Cayman and Hot 104.1 FM.
I see the fire spreading. It's getting hotter and hot. You make me stronger.
Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up.
Say praises unto God, sing praises. Come on, say praises unto God, sing praises. Hallelujah. Lord, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day.
Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Praising me down.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning. I will. So send me, Lord, I will go. Born
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz, the business topics that matter, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz Show right here on Radio Cayman. I'm your host, Sabrina Turner, as we keep the spotlight on Auger, Cayman Islands. Pleasure to have my guest in studio, Mr. Klein Glidden, member of the local practice and funds team of Auger, and he's joined by Miss Rhythma Kapoor, associate at Auger's investment funds and corporate team, and Miss Patrice Stewart, senior HR advisor on the HR team at Auger, where we're getting a better understanding of the main services that the company provides and hear all about the various opportunities for young Caymanians who wish to get into the legal field. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about estate planning, usually a topic that we don't engage into enough, to be honest. Yep. And I'll throw that at Mr. Glidden. How important is estate planning when it comes to operating a business, especially?
So, I don't think that we can understate the value of consideration and planning when we look at business or personal. Right? Like you said, it's one of those discussions that we tend to want to not deal with until in certain circumstances it's a bit too late at that stage. But if we talk specifically about businesses, or when we think of estate planning, I think the layman will see more as estates as actually being those property, fixed assets that they may have. But just in general terms, it could be necessary from a business standpoint or beneficial from a business standpoint. So as a part of our full service that we mentioned earlier, when we advise or assist in establishing a business, and that can simply be, when we talk about a business, it can either be, like I said, an active business, it can be a passive business, it can be an entity that is established simply to hold a piece of real estate in the Cayman Islands. We also recommend to our customers or our clients that they should consider estate planning. We have a very strong estate, private wealth and estate planning department. It's headed up by our partner who has a significant estate practice in the Cayman Islands, Anthony Partridge. And we'll advise on the necessary vehicle, what we think is going to be the most recommended vehicle to use for that entity. First of all, the establishment, and then to look at the range of vehicles that are used for estate planning. At a very simple end, we can get a very simple will that will go through a process of probate and administration upon a partner's death. All right, but that process that most people are involved or familiar with is a pretty, while very robust and established, a pretty lengthy process. And sometimes with businesses, the need for a bit of certainty prior to that is very evident, right? So if you have a business and you have a situation where the significant partner or principal of that business is suddenly deceased or removed from that business, having to go to court, apply for probate, could create some uncertainty.
Correct.
And so there are vehicles designed in the Cayman Islands, and more traditional what we see is a trust structure. So we talk about trust, but through the very creative and innovative, I would say, Cayman Islands government, we recently have a foundation company legislation that pretty much bridges the gap or brings a amalgamation between a company, a regular corporate structure as we've known it, and a trust structure. The concept of a trust where we separate the ownership to legal ownership and beneficial ownership is sometimes difficult for people to wrap their head around, where they're required to transfer those assets over to a trustee to hold in trust for another party. When we have a foundation company, it allows people to be familiar with the normal corporate company aspect, but actually to use that company and appoint beneficiaries in a very similar way to a trust, which can then plan for those individuals, like I said, for those unforeseen circumstances that could create a level of uncertainty and disruption for the business.
Correct.
Right?
So that's like a medium, a middle ground.
It's a middle ground, and like I said, very creative in terms of it's been very well received. We've gotten a significant level of interest in that structure since its inception, since the Cayman Islands government recognized the need and has passed that legislation. It's been very well received, and we continue to offer, like I said, whether the person has a structure, if it's a simple piece of land that someone has, how a Cayman asset, and you want to plan around that, it may be more appropriate to have just a simple structure with a will, but depending on the complexity, Cayman has a wide range of offerings of vehicles that can be used to give the level of comfort for individuals who are interested in planning for the future.
Excellent. Again, it's a conversation that we don't have enough, but until you're really in a bad situation, you're too quick to remember the numbers of Auger, or they may know CG. You got to go to his house. he can set this straight. Now, from a legal perspective, what key requirements would companies need when setting up a business here in the Cayman Islands?
Klein has got much more experience when it comes to local practice businesses. The area that I tend to work in comes more with exempted companies under the companies law, and dealing with those sort of companies, whether they're involved in fund structuring, which is usually offshore. But there are a couple of instances where we do have it for local businesses, and that's where we're starting to deal with SEMA where we're either applying for a securities business license, all sorts of mutual fund administrators licenses. So that's, again, something that we're very much involved in and can assist with.
Okay.
So like we said, like Ridma said, it depends. If it's going to be a offshore services, as we mentioned earlier, a business that is going to be doing business overseas. We also have the special economic zone businesses. And so, that's a bit of a hybrid again, where we have overseas businesses or businesses that are not doing business in the Cayman Islands per se, but are actually set up here. So depending on that structure, depending on whether the business is actually operating either from and within the Cayman Islands or actually doing business in the Cayman Islands, it's going to be a range. But Cayman has a pretty robust business licensing system, and we have a requirement in terms of even when we talk about, in many cases we establish businesses for the simple purpose of holding a piece of land, right? So for asset protection, individuals may find that instead of them holding it in their personal capacity, they've determined that they actually want to establish a corporate entity to allow them to hold that.
Right.
And that, it's going to be pretty passive. It's going to be a simple incorporation and ongoing maintenance of that company. Whereas on other instances, we may have the landscaper who decides that they're going to do a business and they need us to come. They want a corporate structure. They want the associated protections. They want all the licensing requirements. Whether that's an entity that is 100% Caymanian owned or whether that's an entity that has some sort of partnership where they then have to get a local companies control law license to give an exemption from the 60/40 requirement. And even after we go through that, then there's a licensing from a trade and business license component. And then it goes right down in terms of, partnership agreements, employment, which ends up being a big component of that, where people want to make sure that they're compliant from a pension, health insurance component, as well as employment contracts.
Correct.
And then as Patrice mentioned early on, Auger is actually able to carry it further because we have a dispute resolution team as well, right? So in the event that, all of that fails, that we're not able to protect and provide adequate, I guess.
Not only for the happy time, but even for the bad times as well.
Right? And so, again, we're quite proud of being able to say that we offer a full range of services.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
Now let's talk about a little bit of giving back, and I'll throw this question at Ms. Patrice. I understand that Auger has an active sports and social committees through which staff get involved in a wide range of activities. Share with us some details on how the staff is involved in the community as well.
Sure. Well, Auger is very big on giving back to the community, corporate social responsibility, that type of thing. So we actually have a charitable giving committee where we kind of discuss sponsorship opportunities within the community. And then we also try to organize days where we can go out and give back to the community. So every staff member is allowed 2 days per year that's separate from their vacation to go out and do something good for the community. So we've actually organized, for example, earlier this year, a group of us went and assisted ARC, Acts of Random Kindness, with a home improvement project for a Caymanian mother and her 5-year-old daughter. And then also another group went out to the Humane Society and they walked and washed about 67 dogs. So we're very big on, giving back. We've recently held a bake sale to raise money for Feed Our Future's Meals in Schools program, where we raised about US $1,200. So we try to be as active in the community as much as we can and to kind of give back as much as we can.
That's good. It must be a great atmosphere in Oja.
Yes.
It's very upbeat.
It's very upbeat. It's a fun place to work.
Yeah. It is. It's you really get that family concept. I mean, as mentioned, when Patrice mentioned the time that OJ gives to actually make that contribution, it's also worth noting that there's a program that actually allows employees to make contributions from their salary. So when you talk about charitable giving, in many cases, it's not just a firm, writing a check.
Correct.
It's like the employees themselves actually making a determination that they want to assist, and then they get to actually pick specific projects that they're interested in.
That's nice. And we've
been involved in the Meals on Wheels program for several years now. So there are a number of employees at the firm from all sorts of levels, all sorts of departments who have been delivering for years. So I've been with the program for 5 years now, and it's wonderful, and everyone gets involved.
Great. Excellent team spirit. Now let's talk a little bit about the protection of trademarks and your brand. What is the importance of companies protecting their trademarks and brand? And how can Oger help in this regard?
So, I mean, we spoke about establishing businesses, but in many cases, we have businesses both local and international, and Cayman being an international center, we're exposed to and see brands that we can all associate very quickly to.
Correct.
In many instances, those brands have been around for years and sometimes generations. And while, in large part, the expectation is that there's going to be a certain amount of respect for those brands, there are instances that we would all be too familiar with people wanting to piggyback on or use brands and reputations that have been established in a positive way, and in some cases, that's going to be detrimental. If everyone used the business and everyone was enhancing a brand, the concerns would be less. But specifically when you've built a reputable brand, and someone could start doing things to damage the value and the reputation of that brand, there has been a recognized provision or ability around the world to be able to protect and register trademarks, for example, that would ensure that you have some level of recourse in terms of someone using or damaging something that you have spent a significant amount of time developing. And so Cayman in 2006 brought into place the Trademarks Law. Trademarks Law 2016 came into effect, I think, in August of 2017. And that allows Cayman to actually register at the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office, which is a part of the General Registry Department. It actually allows you to offer to actually register and protect your brand. So OGR is able to advise you on protection, on the reasons for that in the model. When we talk about trademarks, it's not just necessarily a name.
Right. Slogans.
Yeah, unique
colors.
way of identifying products and services, basically, and it can be made up of a combination of words, images, numbers, letters, slogans, etc. And so the whole idea is that you register those, but in addition to registering, then you have to monitor. And again, depending on the level of monitoring, the process is that you register, you satisfy that you have a right to register.
Correct.
And then there is a registration process. So, the monitoring comes into someone else trying to register something similar. And so we're able to advise on the monitoring of that as well as the infringement, right? So if we ended up seeing someone infringing a registered trademark, then we're able to take that forward and provide recourse in terms of of dealing with such an infringement.
Okay. We're going to take our final break for the morning, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about why the Cayman Islands is a good place to invest. We'll get their opinions on that, and the impact of technology, because as it continues to influence all sectors in the way we do business right here in the Cayman Islands. Keep it locked to Radio Cayman's Business Buzz for more when we come back.
It's Pure Soul Talk, 7 a.m. on Sunday mornings with Spirit Biz 345. This is a radio segment that's fresh and new, it's non-denominational and fun, it's spiritual and motivational. Plus, you don't need to dress up or even to help pay into my building fund. Spirit Biz 345, about my father's business. Listen in 7 a.m. Sundays, here and worldwide via streaming and on Facebook. God bless.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Pop a top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love them in
Country classics.
young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz, the business topics that matter, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. Cayman's Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz as we keep the spotlight on those Cayman Islands. Business Buzz is brought to you every Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 until 9 and is proudly sponsored by Teddy Clayton of Pan American Insurance. Give Teddy a call today, 917-4860. Now I'll take the response from our guest this morning, Mr. Klein Glidden, and he's joined by Ms. Rhythma Kapoor and Ms. Patrice Stewart, all of Auger. Why is the Cayman Islands a good place to invest, and be it for real estate or for commercial projects? Your opinions on that question, please.
I mean, Cayman is seen as being a very stable, well-regulated jurisdiction. Whether we're talking about the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, which is respected as a regulator in the region and around the world, and we look at the regulation of financial services, or we look at our immigration regime. While there's always room for improvement when we look at the mix. And a mixture of individuals who have come to make Cayman their home. Arguably, that system works. We have a high level of education, so people that are deciding whether they want to do business or live here, when they're looking at education for their children, those are components. And then we look at where recently the introduction of a high level of healthcare as well, right? So,
correct.
So as a jurisdiction, because we get two types of individuals. We get individuals who are just looking at Cayman as a center to establish an entity for business outside of the Cayman Islands, as we mentioned. But we also look at people who are coming here. And it's not only coming here for investments, but coming here to work, right? So when we look at our colleagues in the financials, in our office, many of them had to make a decision to decide to come and live in Cayman. And it's not only based on the salaries or the remuneration. It's other considerations when they're looking at moving their family and coming. So Cayman, from an attractiveness standpoint, from attractive for business, like we said, well known, well respected, high level of good governance. The fact that there's a level of oversight by the UK gives people or gives potential investors some confidence. The historical perspective of Cayman being seen as being stable, and obviously the instruments, the vehicles that have been established, and the legislation that has been established to allow Cayman, and now we're not as new, I guess, as some of the other. We're a bit more tried and tested,
correct,
and so people have looked at that, But while there is a level of I guess uncertainty when people are considering, we see the news reports and the discussion about, how can a population of 60,000 have 100,000 companies?
Mm-hmm.
I think, while there is some political bluster during election times, in general, people that are involved in the financial services industry know that Cayman is pushing above its weight, really, in
correct,
terms of the level of structures, regulation, and the stability standpoint. And so good place to do business, a level of consistency, stability. Even when we go through an election cycle or election change, we see that there's no real disruption from
correct,
a business standpoint. We're a strong private sector involvement. We have institutions like Cayman Finance, who provides a level of recommendation and insight to government, and we're good working collaboration that allows, like I say, a level of consistency where businesses are looking for that kind of consistency in terms of looking at a location. I mean, less and less so. People are still talking about the tax advantages, and
mm-hmm,
the reason for people coming to Cayman is based on taxes. Our detractors would like it to seem that all of the decisions are made for nefarious purposes for businesses in Cayman.
But that's a different show.
Yeah, and
yeah, that's a total different show.
I think internationally we have proven
right,
that Cayman is well regulated and actually make a contribution to international finance. And so when we look at, like I said, the systems, and if we take it from the regulatory aspect of it, which as Rid said, she deals a lot more with licensing,
mm-hmm,
and good and proper persons, individuals that are getting whether it's directorship services or other businesses in Cayman. We look at our banks, even at the time of the economic crisis, and we see the bailouts that were going on. We see that Cayman is we're highly regulated, and while we complain a bit about that in terms of
over-regulation,
yeah, over capital adequacy
correct,
requirements for the banks, when we have those challenging times internationally, and Cayman is able to stand head and shoulders above that and recover as quickly as we do, we recognize the value in that type of regulation. And then we look at even simple systems. We look at things that we take for granted, like our lands and survey system, where we have a guaranteed title register, where people can feel confident in coming and purchasing property in Cayman and not even getting title insurance. But I could go on and go on as to all the good reasons why
time does
Cayman
not allow us. I'm sorry, but I would have to bring you
business
back on so that we can definitely dissect all the services. But just let me throw it to Ms. Patrice. What would you say to school leavers about choosing a career in law?
Sure. I mean, obviously, it's very important to kind of stay focused in your studies, and yes, we do look at things like your GPA and your grades, but it's also very important for you to try to get as much exposure as you can. So in terms of applying for internships, even if I know a lot of students don't like to take unpaid internships, but just getting your foot in the door and making those connections with those in the legal field is very important.
I think it's a good exposure. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very good exposure. And then you get to kind of figure out whether this is something that you actually want to do. Because at that age, you don't necessarily, you think that that's what you want to do. And then later on in your career, you realize maybe this wasn't it. And then it's also really important, I think, to be well-rounded. So being involved in the community and, yeah.
How can persons get in touch with the OIG or Cayman Islands? Contact details, please.
Sure. If you are interested in applying for a role or getting more information about internships, scholarships, that kind of thing, you can send an email to caymanlegalrecruitment@ogier.com, and then one of us will get back to you as soon as possible.
I want to thank Ms. Kapoor, Ms. Stewart, and Mr. Glidden for sharing with us, and allowing us here on the Business Buzz to put the spotlight on Ogier, Cayman Islands. We again want to wish you all success and continue to keep up, do the great work that you're doing in our community and within as well. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
I am Sabrina Turner, inviting you to join me on Thursday for another Business Buzz right here on Radio Cayman. Have a fabulous day.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz. The Business Buzz, proudly sponsored by Teddy Clayton of Pan American Insurance, each and every Tuesday and Thursday on Radio Cayman. Call Teddy today at 917-4860.